Killjoy or Cypher, and which one should you play if you're solo queuing, and why? Let's break down the pros and cons of both agents and figure out which one you should be picking when you're solo queuing. If you've watched any of my other videos, you probably know that I'm partial to Cypher, but in this video, I'm gonna put my feelings aside and tell you how it really is. We're gonna be taking a look at each agent individually, and then we will compare the pros and cons to each other. Hey guys, I'm Hootie here with Level Up Gaming, and real quick before we start, make sure you smash that like button for me. I really appreciate it. But first up, we have Cypher. Cypher is truly the master of locking down parts of the map. With his trapwires, Cypher cages, and camera, he's able to gain information and slow down a push. He's even able to use his abilities to play aggressively and entry frag when necessary, although this is not his strong suit. So what are the pros of playing Cypher? Information is king. Cypher has the ability to gain all sorts of information for his team using his cameras, his trapwires. He's able to aggressively gather information and passively gather information, which is incredibly strong when you're solo queuing. He gets 2 trapwires. This allows for the person playing Cypher to hold or watch multiple bomb site entrances or even just multiple bomb sites and both sides of a flank if you're on offense. And you have your cyber cages. The ability to deploy a smoke of any type is a huge boon and can be used in many ways. You can use these cages to entry frag. You can use them to slow a push, find enemies, because when you throw them down and you activate them, it makes a sound if someone's inside of it instantly. You can also use it to just deny information from the enemy team by blocking off entrances at the beginning of every round or doing something tricky like that. Cypher has the ability to aggressively gather information using his cameras. You can throw them pretty far. You can use them to clear bomb sites, clear certain long angles. You can use them to clear choke points, everything. You can even use them to find other Cypher's traps. You can use it to see where the trap's going to be before you have to go up there and physically find it. And his ultimate is almost always useful. There's almost never a bad time to use it. More information on where the enemy is going to be playing is always going to be good for your team and for you. So as you've probably guessed, and I've kind of mentioned, he's great at holding a bomb site solo. This is really where he excels. He's able to just lock down a part of the map and let his team worry about everything else. He may not be able to hold off an enemy push forever, but he can hold it off long enough that your team can rotate and help you. And it's incredibly easy as Cypher to be effective on defense. This cannot be overstated. I know I've mentioned it already, but he is really strong on defense, and it's very easy to use his abilities to be very good on defense. Whereas with the cons here, it's much more difficult to be effective on offense. Now, there's a couple ways you can play Cypher on offense, and we've talked about some of those in my other videos. The links will be up in the upper right-hand corner right now if you want to check them out. But it is much more difficult, as I've said, to be really effective on offense as Cypher. He also has no flash or nearsighted abilities, so entry fragging can be a bit of a struggle. It's not impossible. You can use your cages to block off line of sights and potentially then entry frag with those, but not having flashes or blinds or leers or anything like that is going to make it more difficult than if you did have them. There's also the potential for a really long setup time as Cypher. Depending on what your setup is, you might have to put down 2 traps, a camera on both cages, or whatever you have to put down, but this could waste up a lot of your time. If you're not vigilant, if you're not on top of it right away when the round starts, when the buy phase starts, then you may not get your whole setup done before the enemy starts rushing you. Just something to think about. Make sure you're paying attention and doing that. Overall, I'd say Cypher is an amazing solo queue agent because he's able to provide an amazing amount of information to the rest of his team. And if you want to be successful in solo queue, there are 2 ways to go about it. 1, be tense, or just be able to go off every game and frag out of your mind. This isn't reasonable for most of us, okay? And then there's 2. Help your team be as good as they can possibly be by providing them with as much information and utility as you can. Cypher is great for this. This is really where he excels, right? Giving his team information. And the more information your team has, the better decisions they will make, the more likely you will be to win the round. Cypher also allows your team to not really worry about getting flanked on offense with his trapwires, and it can also discourage the enemy from doing any flanking if every time they try to flank, they're running into trapwires. But now let's take a look at Killjoy, okay? Killjoy is also talented when it comes to locking down parts of the map and gathering information. With her alarm bot, her turret, her nano swarm, you can really lock down a choke point and stop enemy pushes in their tracks. Now, this might just sound like I'm echoing Cypher, but I'm really talking about Killjoy here. So what are the pros of playing Killjoy? Well, information is king again. Her ability to gather information is not quite as strong as Cypher. She doesn't have cameras, she doesn't have trapwires, but she does have her alarm bot, she does have her turret. Neither of these display enemies through walls, but they're still good. They're still great for gathering information for your team, but your team needs to be paying a little bit more attention, or you need to be paying attention and calling out for your team. She also has very strong area denial in the form of her nanoswarm grenades. They do a huge amount of damage, taking only about 2 seconds to get a kill on an enemy player. It can be used to lock down parts of the map, choke points, or stop plants and diffuses completely dead in their tracks. And then her alarm bot also gives the enemy that it hits the vulnerable debuff. And what this means is it's going to provide you with double damage to that enemy for a short period of time. So if your alarm bot goes off and blows up on an enemy and then you shoot them, it's going to do double damage per bullet while you're shooting them. Then you have Killjoy's strong area denial ultimate. Beware, Killjoy's ultimate is strong, but it's incredibly telegraphed. So wherever you put that, they're gonna know that's where you're going. Maybe put it down on one bomb site and quickly rotate to the other, causing the enemies to get faked out and think that you're going to the other bomb site. Another pro is that her turret can actually get kills. With decent placement of this turret, you can get kills on low health or just distracted enemies despite not doing a lot of damage. This can change the pace of a round if you get lucky. She is also great for solo holding bomb sites. So just like Cypher, she's going to excel when it comes to stopping a push, but she is less strong when it comes to bomb sites with multiple entrances, so be careful. I find great effectiveness when I use her to hold a bomb site semi-aggressively and then fall back off the bomb site once I know the enemy's pushing and wait for a plant. I set up my nanoswarm grenades in a way that when they start to plant, I can go ahead and get a couple kills. This allows my team to rotate and potentially pick up more kills and retake the bomb site with me instead of me just holding it by myself and potentially dying. So what are the cons? Well, she has no flash or nearsighted abilities and no smokes. This is a big one. She really has no way of entry fragging on offense. She can't aggressively gain information. She can't aggressively smoke something off and push. She can't really do anything, so she's completely reliant on her teammates. She also has a potentially long setup time similar to Cypher, which means that you have to be vigilant, you have to be ready to go. I also find myself rotating between bomb sites at the very beginning in the buy phase to put down equipment on both bomb sites, so really make sure you're paying attention. And it is, as I've said, really difficult to be effective on offense. Outside of watching the flank and before the spike gets planted, Killjoy is an agent that is heavily reliant on the rest of her team gathering aggressive information and using utility to cover a push. Equipment can be seen from far away as Killjoy as well, which can also be seen as a con. The enemy team, if you don't place your equipment correctly, can just see it from very far away and shoot it before they ever get affected by it. So make sure you're hiding it. Overall, Killjoy can also be incredibly strong as a solo queue agent, but outside of putting an alarm bot and turret down on the flank, she's incredibly dependent on her team when it comes to getting aggressive information and entering onto a bomb site. She's also able to do a lot of potential damage with her nanoswarm grenades if you know good lineups or you're able to hide them well, and they can also be used on offense in a way that is similar to Raze's paint shells. By that, I mean you can use them to clear out nooks and crannies, pushing your opponents out of positions or even potentially killing them. But who is better? Who should you be picking while solo queuing? That's the question, right? Well, it definitely depends on your comfort level a little bit, but objectively speaking, Cypher is going to be stronger for his team when it comes to gathering information, deterring pushes and flanks, and potentially using his cages to deny information from the opposing team. Whereas Killjoy also does a lot of these things well, she doesn't do them quite as well as Cypher does. And she doesn't have any smokes either, and that's a big one. That's something I want you to note. Her ability to use her nanoswarms to potentially pick up a kill or deny the enemy from pushing a certain position can be strong, but those grenades can also be destroyed very easily, so watch out. So if Cypher is available and you feel comfortable playing him, he's an easy pick over Killjoy with the level of impact he can have on a round when it comes to holding solo bomb sites, watching the flank, using his cameras to gather information either passively or aggressively, and denying information with his cages. If Cypher isn't available, Killjoy is a close second and can be used quite effectively in tandem with Cypher as well. But be careful not to take too many Sentinel agents, because you may end up with a lack of ability to gain entry frags without some flashes or smokes on your team. Now remember to hit that like button if you want to see more content like this in the future. I stream every Thursday right here on the YouTube channel at 6:30 Central Time and multiple nights a week over on twitch.tv/BrianHootie. So if you want to continue this conversation, get some good coaching, or just talk more in depth about Valorant or FPS games in general, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/BrianHootie and drop me a follow. Lastly, make sure you check out the Level Up Gaming Discord community. The link's in the description down below. There are a lot of players just like you there, and it's a great way to chat directly with me. I'll see you in there.
Okay, what is with this Phoenix and his wallet?
One enemy remaining. Bomb grenade out.